Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and I like all things modular, and this is another simple example of that philosophy. This is my modded Nerf BigShock. All of the credit for the idea for this particular mod goes to my friend Ichiro, whose name I probably horribly mispronounced. For internal modifications, I have of course taken out the air restrictor, which is what allows you to then fire rival rounds with it. I have also added a stock stampede spring around the original spring because it works beautifully. With those two simple modifications, it will now fire, of course, mega darts, but better than it used to, as well as being able to now fire rival rounds, which it does also beautifully. To be able to rebarrel it for Elite, Ichiro had used a piece of plastic that was the inside roll for a receipt machine paper roll, and he found that that fit an Elite dart quite well, and that he then made it so that it would fit into the barrel. I took a piece of 1/2-inch PVC and sanded it down, filed it down so that it would fit into the barrel, and then I brassed that, and that of course perfectly rebarrels it for firing Elite darts, which it does quite well. And finally, for the final bit of functionality that I could add, I have the barrel from my clear shot, the little bit of exploder's barrel insert, that of course can be inserted into any 17/32 brass barrel, and will then rebarrel it from Elite to Boomco. Doesn't shoot that quite as well, I suspect, because there's a little bit more dead space once you have that many inserts in there. So probably I'm not going to run with the Boomco barrel for this particular blaster, but definitely going to keep the Elite one. And I love that it fits perfectly into the dart holder up top. Once again, if you know me, I like that sort of attachment. Okay, to take a quick look at the internals, I took the shell off, which is actually completely unnecessary. It's purely cosmetic. I, of course, like having the holder for the barrel extension, so I keep the shell on. When you look at the actual functional internals, you'll see that it is, in fact, just a scaled-up Jolt. Perfectly identical in most respects, other than the size. Take 4 screws out, takes out the bottom. I then doubled up the spring. Again, I think I used a stock stampede spring. I could be wrong about that. It was one of the springs that was in my parts bin, and just threaded it onto the original one, and it works beautifully. For taking out the air restrictor, I drilled it out, of course, and then I decided I wanted to get all of it out, so I ended up popping off this back cap, which on mine came off quite easily. I won't guarantee that it'll do that on anyone's because it is in fact glued. I then re-glued it on, and it's been holding great. So that's all there is to the internals of either a Jolt or the BigShock. So, all right, I'm going to take it out and do a quick firing demonstration out in my yard, and then bring it back in and discuss what happened. A quick firing demonstration, starting with mega darts. Now firing rival rounds. Now rebarreled for Elites. And finally, rebarreled for Boomco. So interestingly, I discovered that of all the ammo that this thing will fire, it fires the Elite darts the best. The mega darts are actually coming out a bit erratic, which I suspect is because they're whistlers and have that, anomaly in their tip design. The rival rounds worked fairly well. The Boomco did not work very well, which I noted earlier in the video, and I think it's because having all the different reductions and all of that, it's losing a lot of pressure and seal and all of that. So those are just my observations. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have ideas, suggestions, complaints, whatever you want, down there in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.